All right, guys, I'm here at our Petersburg farm, right here by the water tower. Gonna look like I'm holding that. Brody has a picture of him doing that. There we go. Take a picture like that. It'd be kind of cool, huh? Whoop. Let's see. Hello, it's me again. I'm at our Petersburg farm and I'm getting ready to do a little prescribed fire, also called a controlled burn. We talked about how that is really good for restarting succession, and I'm doing it to try to get native grass growing. If you look on that far hillside over there, that golden colored grass, that is a native warm season grass. Native warm season grasses will grow as long as they're not choked out by cool season grass. And we talked about, I'll go over and show you why animals like native grass, warm season grass, because a cool season grass like this in this pasture, I just sprayed all this, so it's gonna start dying. But if you look at this grass, all right, when it gets tall, and it'll get 3 or 4 feet tall, okay, but down in here, little critters like mice and birds, quail, pheasants, those things need space to move around in grass. This type of grass is like a biological desert. It is tall, and so bigger animals can bed in it, but cool season grass, as soon as the snow comes, it lays flat. So you can see this pasture is pretty well laying flat. In the middle of summer, it provides good cover. But if you look down here at the floor, animals can't get through this. It's like yard grass. It's super thick, and animals can't work through it. I'll walk over to some warm season grass here in a little bit, but warm season grass grows in clumps. Even though it looks like it's a solid stand of grass, there's clumps, and then down at the bottom of at ground level, it's like little hotel rooms. All right, they can run around and move around. Birds can scurry away, and they can hide from predators. But it gives all animals a healthier ecosystem, because there's mice for the coyotes to go after instead of trying to prey on deer and things like that. They don't really want to have to catch a big deer or a little deer, or even rabbits and things like that. They would prefer to go around and catch things like mice and stuff like that. But if you don't have them there, those bigger predators are going to go after your bigger species. So what I'm trying to do is get more of that warm season grass going. So my process for that is to spray it first with a chemical, and that kills it. You can see here that I did that, and I got a pretty good kill. Got a little bit of cool season grass coming up. But what I'm gonna do is light fire to this. And when this burns, it'll burn all the dead stuff. All the dead stuff is thatch, and that is the fuel, and it will light very, very easily, okay? And that'll burn, but when it hits this actively growing stuff, the green stuff, that stuff is trying to photosynthesize and live, but as soon as fire hits it, it's gonna kill anything that's not dead yet. All right, so when you burn, you always have to have a burn plan. On my big fields here, you can see I have strips of clover around everything, and those are fire breaks. Fire can't burn across a solid green area, but up here I don't have that, so the wind is blowing at my face. So when people do prescribed burns, you always start with the wind blowing into your face, and that is called a backing fire. And a backing fire will burn slower because it's burning into the wind and it can't take off real fast. All right, so what I would do here is I would take this torch and I would light along this edge here with the wind blowing that way, and so it would burn very slowly backwards against the wind. Once I have 10 or 15 feet that is burned in black, then I will go light what's called the head fire. That is on the upwind up here. I'll light it along that, and when wind hits the fire, it gives it oxygen, and it goes really, really fast. The head fire moves quick. Well, it burns across here until it hits the backing fire where it already burned, and where it hits that blackness that already burned real slow, the fire just quits, and you're very, very safe. I keep a leaf blower to keep the fire controlled. I'm gonna go ahead and light this, and I'll check back in a minute and show you. Now, I'm restarting succession here. There's two types of succession. One of them is called secondary succession. One of them is called primary succession. Somebody, go ahead and write down for number one, what do you call this that I'm doing? One of them would be it would be impossible to do here, because it would have to go way, 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 way back, and I couldn't do that. So go ahead and do that. I'll light the fire and then show you, unless the town catches on fire and you hear fire trucks and then you didn't see this video. All right, this is just a very, very small fire compared to what I'll normally light, but, oh, thought I had it facing the other way. This fire, I've lit it down here, and it's burning back a little ways. It's burning very slow. The moisture in the air is really high right now, so it's not gonna burn real hot or real well, but it's gonna burn that way. Now I'm gonna go light just a head fire here to burn over and hit this, but you'll see when I light this, it'll move a little bit quicker. And then this will die, and when the warm season grasses start growing, it's more like, end of April. And so I may come in here and spray this one more time. Now I'm lighting all along this edge to get it to go and hit the fire break there. So it's gonna go a little quicker. Now that's gonna kill that actively growing grass. And when it gets to that area that I already burnt, it will just stop, okay? In theory. So now I've got a backing fire right there, okay? And when that head fire gets to it, when it gets to that backing fire, it will stop. Now my wind is kind of going up a little bit, but the other thing I have here is it's gonna hit the ditch here. And do you see how green that is? I threw some clover out last fall, so if it hits the ditch, it's not gonna go anywhere no matter what. So there always has to be a really, really good plan when you go into burning, right? So my head fire has almost hit my backing fire, and see how much slower it's burning now. And it'll be out in a matter of minutes, all right? So what type of succession am I restarting? Am I doing primary or secondary? What's up, guys? I'm back out here, and I'm in a cool little spot. There's some major different creeks that come together here. I'm out checking cameras, and I got my safety harness on. I'm gonna change a deer stand out. Always gotta be safe when you're by yourself. I fell the other day. But I found this place where the water's really running through here. One of these tributaries dumping into this main creek here, and a bunch of them come together up here. It's a pretty cool spot, but this spot has a certain type of rock that I want you to identify, and I'm kind of putting all these videos together. I don't have a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. I don't even, just like I said before, just tell me you watched it, tell me what you liked, or write a little summary of what you learned, something like that for these assignments. I'm not as worried about a letter grade as I am you just learning the information, listening, and hopefully picking something up. But so this water rushes through here. On that side, you can see there's a lot of clay, all right? And this clay is real hard. And it's because we're farther down in the ground. We talked the other day about how you can find a spot and get super low to find some of those super old fossils that we talked about. And everybody said, well, you'd have to dig a big giant hole. Well, I'm probably 300 feet, 200 feet anyway, maybe more, below that ridge up there, down in the bottom of this creek. And I'm in a low area anyway. But this clay is super hard. So what happens here are these little rocks, the fine rocks. There's all kinds of shale here and sand and different little rocks that are hitting this clay and pushing to the side as the water erodes over the top of it. There's an old bottle. And it piles up right here. Now, if you want to look for arrowheads, that would be the place to do it. All right, it's all kind of filtering and then dumping right there. Now, what type of rock is that that would settle there? And it's a bunch of different types of rock together. This is shale. All right, I'm not real big on knowing a lot of rocks. I don't see any arrowheads, but lots of different fine stuff. And you can go like this. This is kind of how they pan for gold, and then get down in the creek and wash it, and you can get all the dirt off, and then you'll be left with what stones are there. Okay, so I'm kind of panning for gold in Menard County, but this type of rock has a name. It's a bunch of little pieces together. Most fossils are formed from this. You can see the cast that my feet made, all right, there. And if those filled up and stayed there with this certain type of rock and hardened, in millions of years, someone could come down here and find that fossil. What are most fossils made from? Now, I talked the other day about coexisting with animals. I've disrupted this little guy's habitat here. If you can see that, there's a little worm wiggling around right there. All right, I'm bugging him. He's kind of got a cool little head on him though. Or he just pooped on me. Now there's kind of two of them together. I don't know if you can see that, but there's one on the end of the other one. Anyway, I'll put them back. But what type of rock is this? And yeah, that's it. So this is also a good spot you could look for. I'm gonna see if I can get across this creek without going over my boots, and I did. But over here, here's another spot where all these types of rocks are settling here. I would love to find an arrowhead. I never, ever have. It kind of looks like one. I don't know. What do you think? Probably not. As much time as I spend outside, and you guys know I do, I've never found an arrowhead. I don't really look. I'm too focused on deer. But, oh, by the way, also, you can't tell it, but I'm growing a mustache. I'm gonna shave all this and have me a killer mustache. Social distancing, I'm gonna be able to make myself look ridiculous because I'm not gonna see anybody else anyway. But this is a cool spot. You can see all these different tributaries coming into one. So there's a big drainage that dumps in. That one dumps in. This one dumps in. All water always finds its lowest spot. Now I'm probably not even a half mile from the river. So this creek continues to get wider and wider when it gets to the river. Now looking for Indian arrowheads and things like that, the closer I get to the river ought to be better because for finding those, because they relied on river systems and would often be on spots near the river to be able to use it. But that's all I got today. I'll let you know if I find anything. See ya! All right, so we are, my dog's gonna help me, aren't you, Jakey? Come here, you wanna help? All right, so I submitted that video. All I need you to do is, you're gonna snub me, huh? All I need you to do is write me a short little summary on what you saw there and any connections you can make back to school. So anything we've talked about that you know about from things that you've read or watched, just so I know that you can tie some of that back to the things we've learned. You know, there were words in there like erosion and native and resetting ecosystems, those kinds of things. Just write a short little summary about what you saw. And don't forget, on Google Classroom, you need to go up to the right-hand corner to turn in your answers and input a Google Doc. You can click on it and it'll give you that screen. Type it in and then just don't forget to submit it, because then that allows me to give you feedback and send it back, and then I know that you turned it in and you know that I got it. So if you have any troubles, shoot me an email and we'll figure it out. No worries. I miss you all and hope to see you soon. See ya! Jake.